Conflict management, part 6. You've heard some of these pieces in prior videos. This is kind of grouping them all together. So I'm going to go through the 10 mistakes that people make in addressing conflict. Number 1, they don't address it right away. We've talked about that. Number 2, they bring anger, frustration, or ego to that conversation. That's why I said make sure you're in a good state before you address the issue. Number 3, they focus on why they are right and you are wrong. While you're right, why they're wrong. That's easy to do, by the way. It takes absolutely no energy to do. The opposite takes a lot of energy. Number 4, you prove a point. I remember I was on a phone call one time, and I was asked this question by my mentor. Do you want to be right or do you want to be wise? And that was, I can't tell you how many times that question I've used it. I've asked myself it. Do you want to be right, George, or do you want to be wise? Your ego wants to prove a point sometimes, so don't allow your ego to get the best of you. Point number 5, speak versus asking questions. It's so easy to come into a conversation when there's a conflict and you just go right into it versus trying to understand, hey, can you help me understand what you were thinking? Why did you do that? Why did you process it that way? Why did you handle it that way? Okay, and what do you think should have been the right answer, or you should have done, right? I don't know. Okay, well, let's talk about it, right? Or hey, why are you upset? Because you did this. Okay, and did you think that was something I did on purpose to you? Did you think what do you think my intention was? What do you think my reason for doing that was? So you're trying to get to their understanding of the situation so that you can address how they feel about it, how they think about it. Number 6, don't take ownership in the problem. Well, obviously it's your fault, obviously, right? You're the problem, okay? That's never a great way to solve a problem or a conflict. I like to always start every conflict by stating what I could have done better, the mistake that I made, before asking them what mistake they made or what the plan is to improve that mistake. That'll help you a lot. Hey, first of all, before you even get into this conversation, I just want to let you know, this is what I'm thinking. This is what I see I could have done better in this situation. This led to the conflict. And I'm going to work on that for the next time. Typically, that right there will eliminate 95%, 98% of the issue, and then you can go right to solution because that person wants to know that you acknowledge your mistake if you made a mistake in that situation. Point number 7, you don't give the other person the benefit of the doubt. Sometimes when a person makes a mistake or there's a challenge, you think that person maybe doesn't care, or they're careless, or they weren't considerate, or they just were lazy. You don't know the situation. And so always give that person the benefit of the doubt. Hey, I don't know what happened here, so can you explain to me what happened first? And then go into assessing, hey, was it intentional? Was it an accident? What's the reason for it? Point number 8, you don't consider their feelings. You just think about your situation, your frustration. If you can think about how that person feels in that moment and put yourself in their shoes, you'll always have a better outcome. Point number 9, you don't give enough time to assessing why it happened and solutions that are long-term. You just try to fix that issue or get over it or get past it, bypass it, versus saying, hey, let's create a system here again where this doesn't happen moving forward. And lastly, point number 10, you don't practice grace or forgiveness. It's human nature sometimes to hold on to a grudge. Somebody's typically maybe done that, and we've learned to do that to other people. Maybe you're truly hurt, so you're holding on to this situation, and you don't practice grace or forgiveness. You are never going to be able to have a healthy relationship, whether it's personal or business, if you truly are holding on to things and you're frustrated with that person. You're never really going to connect with them. You're never going to give them your very best. You're never going to be able to see them in a different light. And so it's important that if that's a relationship that you're going to maintain, that you truly forgive and that you give that person grace, because odds are there was a time in your life where you've made such a significant mistake that you wanted that person to give you grace and give you forgiveness. I know growing up in our family, we're super tight. And there was one occasion where we really kind of got into it verbally, and just it wasn't a good setting. And I was super disappointed with that. My part in it. you know, and we had a family meeting, and I said, hey, you know, I want to ask for forgiveness on this part. And that requires you to really be humble. And that relationship has to matter to you enough. And if it does, right, you may have to be the person to first ask for forgiveness or ask for grace, right? But you also may be the person having to give it to somebody else. So hopefully those 10 steps will help you in handling your next conflict.